In this video, I'm going to show you how you can experiment with your designs using AImagine to quickly present them to a client or just give yourself a better visual representation of your idea quickly and easily. For that, I'm going to open AImagine. Here I have a basic design of a beach house with 3 apartments or 3 different rooms. It's just a simple model right now, and I want to see how it might look in a more realistic environment, not just as this basic blocky design. To do that, I'll load this viewport into AImagine as my starting point. Next, I'll execute one of my last prompts that I've been experimenting with. Let's go with this one, and I'll run it with this button. At the moment, I'm using an upscale model, so the result won't be dramatically different from what I started with, but it will add a lot more detail. And as you can see, we get a really good upscaled image, same composition, but sharper and richer. Now, with this upscaled image, I'll switch my model to Google Gemini and execute the same prompt again. Just to note, you don't have to upscale your viewport first. That was a mistake on my side. You should always check which API or model you're using before you run it. Even so, we now get a pretty good image from Google Gemini of our beach house. You can see that this image is matching our geometry and our perspective, and almost everything from the basic model is represented pretty well in this visualization. There are a few small areas that aren't perfect, but overall it gives us a very clear idea of how this design might look in the environment we're imagining. Now I'll change the perspective so we can see the design from a different angle. I'll rotate the camera in 3ds Max and then go back to AImagine, load this new viewport as my left image, and generate the same prompt again with this different view. Let's see what the result looks like. Here we have a slightly different version. This time the model added some extra geometry. You can see 2 new apartments appearing on the side. It's actually not a bad idea to have more than 3 apartments in this beach house, so this is already giving us a design variation to think about. I'll try the same prompt again with this view to get another variation. As you can see, I use the slider so that the source image is exactly this geometry. I want the AI to respect this structure. In the second generation, we get only our original model with some extra windows added. That's not bad at all. In a real house, we'd probably add more windows on this wall anyway. So now we have another view of our house. And again, what's important is that we are using the exact same geometry we specified to generate these images. That makes them practical for client presentations and useful for improving the design. Finally, I'll change the perspective one more time to a slightly different angle like this. I'll open AImagine again, load this viewport as my left image, and generate the same prompt once more. Because I just loaded this image, it will be used as the source for the generation. I can press this button to generate a new image from this simple viewport. This result is not bad, but we can improve it a bit. Right now we have this plain green field around the house, so I'll use a different prompt to generate some grass and make the surroundings more interesting. I'll run that prompt now. This gives us grass around the house, it's better, but to finish the image I want to blend the sand and the grass more smoothly so we don't end up with grass growing directly out of the sea. Let's see if we can get a better transition. And here we go, now we have a more interesting result. This is our house, this is our beach, and we have some grass in between. It already feels more like a real location. From here I can also change the season, for example, to see how the same design looks in different conditions. Let's switch the season to winter and see how the house will look then. I'll run the prompt to convert this scene to winter. This gives us an interesting winter version of the house. It's not bad, but it's also not exactly what I want, so I'm not going to use it as my final image. I'll go back to the previous version and continue working from there. What I want to do now is improve the material of the walls. For that I'll use one of my older prompts to update the wall material. Because I want to use my right image as the source, I'll generate the left image with the selected prompt, and I won't use the button that continues from the very last generated image, otherwise it would try to apply this prompt to the winter version, which I don't want. You can see that the material of the walls was updated according to the prompt, but I'm not very happy with this result. So I'll repeat the process and try different versions until I get something I like. Let's try a variation with warmer colors. I'll remove some of the green from the prompt and simplify it a bit, then run it again. Now the tiles are more interesting, but they're still not quite what I want. I'll try another prompt, we can run it a few more times and see how the results change. Some of these solutions are nice, but I'd like to try a slightly different approach. What I can do for the walls now is use a reference image. I'll load a reference image that I like and use that as inspiration for the material. I'll load it as my second image and use Google Style Transfer. I'll ask the model to use the second image as the reference for the tiles. This is just an experiment, I don't know exactly what the result will be, but let's try it. With the reference image we get the colors and texture inspired by that example transferred into our design. It's not bad at all, it's actually quite interesting. I'm going to go with this version. Now I'll switch back to a different model. For example, I'll use this one to change the image to a sunset scene and see how it looks. I'll add a prompt to convert this image to sunset just to see how the scene would look at a different time of day. The result is a bit harsh, so I'll try converting it to sunset with a different model. Let's switch to this one and run the same idea. When we make such big changes to an image, we really have to experiment again and try different designs. In this case, this new version is looking really good and I'm happy with it. To finish the demo, I'll upscale this image so we can bring back even more details. As you can see, some models don't generate very high resolution output, so we end up with softer or lower resolution images. Upscaling can help with that. Here is the upscaled version. In this particular case, it didn't work as well as I'd like. So before upscaling again, I'll go back to the Google Gemini model and generate another image with it to try to get a better starting point with more detail. Even this version is not great, so I'll try one of my local models to bring back some of the details first and then upscale. I'm expecting more detail and maybe some improvements to different elements of the image, because right now the image is quite low resolution and the quality isn't very high. With the FLUX model we get a different representation. As you can see, it produces a much more realistic image. Starting from this higher quality version, we can now upscale it and the result should be significantly better. I'll upscale this final image. Now with the upscaled version, you can see we have even more details, and this is something we can comfortably present to our clients, whether they're considering such a bold, radical design for their new project, or we simply use it as a visual reference or storyboard for our next design. I hope you liked this video. Let us know what you think and what questions you have about this new tool. We'll try to reply to all the comments under this video. Thank you for watching and see you soon in the next one.